Hi, everybody. Josiah Gilliam here, Executive Director at Pump, and we're here with another community partner highlight, again with Quantum Theater, about their upcoming show, Enron, which we're very excited about. So you know the drill. We're going to do a round of introductions and get into all of that. Thank you, my friends, for joining us. Please tell folks at home who you are and what you do with Quantum and with the show.
Hey, Kyle Haden. I am the director of Enron. I also am the senior associate head and an associate professor of acting at Carnegie Mellon University. Freelance actor, director, dad, husband, bunch of other jobs.
Thanks for being here.
I'm Christine Weber. I'm playing Claudia in Enron, and I am an actor, director, producer, also mother, a wife, all the things.
All the things. Lots of hats.
Yeah.
So I'd like to start with Quantum Theater. How do you both describe Quantum Theater to people that might be familiar, and what attracted you to working with this theater company?
Yeah, this is my fourth show with Quantum, I think. Two as an actor, two as a director. I feel like that Quantum's really innovative, always sort of working outside the box and literally outside the box of a theater, so doing site-specific works. And so when you're trying to think about a show that can't be held by the container of a traditional theater, it's Quantum. I talked to Carla Booz, the artistic director, and we were talking about ideas for plays. And I said, hey, I have this play that I've been fascinated by. I've always wanted to do, and I feel like Quantum is the theater in town that could do this play. And she got back to me within 48 hours and was like, yes. So I feel like they're always doing interesting, creative, different works that have a unique sort of spin on the world and different sort of views. So you're always going to get something interesting, different, a bit of a different take or spin or look on art and the world.
Sure.
Yeah, I second everything you just said. I've only worked with them. This will be my second time, and it was such a blast as an actor to do it the last time. Last time with Kyle, actually, as the director as well. In my career, I've had a very traditional path. Like the classical actor kind of thing, where it's like I know how to play a thrust, I know how to play, in a proscenium, I know how to whatever, and then it's like, oh, now we're going to throw you on a platform in the middle of a bunch of people and throw tech in their hands and do all this stuff, and it was wild, and it was a really really fun sort of challenge, but also one that's clearly making an impact. It's not just like we're not just doing some cool stuff for the sake of it. It's impactful in a different way than I think a lot of traditional theaters.
Very cool. What was the play that you guys collaborated on before?
The piece was called "The Devil Is a Lie." So it was sort of a take on Dr. Faustus with Snoop Dogg as a character. It was written by Jennifer Chang, who's a really exciting theater artist, multi-hyphenate out of Los Angeles. So it allowed you to actually affect the play. So, you would vote on things that would happen, and you sort of had less and less control as it went on. So there's bits of improv. And so it was, I was glad I wasn't acting in it. The bits that, you all had to do and sort of figure out and morph as it went on. So yeah, it was pretty fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what was your first introduction to Quantum? Like, how did it come across your radar, and what was your first experience with the theater company, just in general?
Mine was Devil Is a Lie. I had just moved to Pittsburgh probably maybe 6 months before. Is that right?
I think so.
Is that right? Or maybe it had been about a year at that point. But either way, Kyle reached out and had said, there's a theater company I think you should audition for. And I said, great. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I really love working on new plays. And so that was sort of my draw in, was like, oh, I get to do something, again, off the beaten path. And so I threw my hat in the ring, and it happened to work out. So, yeah.
Very cool. How about you?
I moved back here in 2016. I grew up in the South Hills and, came back like a lot of folks do, came back to work at Carnegie in 2016. And so I had done a lot of work with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and their artistic director, Libby Apple, and Carla had worked together in the past. And so Libby had said, make sure you look up Carla when you get to Pittsburgh. She's doing really exciting work. And so I think Libby had told Carla about me. And so I got an email from her saying, hey, you're here. I'm really excited about you being here. Here are 2 shows. You have to audition for these shows. And I said, well, my wife's having a baby, so I can't do the first one. But the second one sounds really interesting. It was this play called Inside Passage, written by Gab Cody, a local Pittsburgh playwright and artist, really exciting, sort of about her journey growing up in Alaska and then trying to look for a foster sibling. There was a lot of really wild sort of improv. There was a scene where I was a bear translator, talking to the audience who were asking questions of grizzly bears, and then I would translate it in real time, their growls. And I sat in the audience for the first quarter of the play and then answered my cell phone and then got out of the audience and stepped onto stage. And so there's a lot of different, interesting, cool things that I was like, oh, hey, I've never really like had the opportunity as an actor to do these things. And so, sort of transferring more to the other side of the table as a director, Jennifer had this play, Devil is a Lie. And so during the pandemic, we started developing it. And then Carla was very excited about it and said, we have to produce this play. And so I was like, okay, great. I'll direct it. Sure. And so that's sort of how we got there with that. So.
Very cool. So Enron, something you had kind of in the works, something you had or you were aware of. You brought it to Carla. Tell us the origin story here.
Yeah. So, I mean, Enron is maybe the reason why our financial system, why we have some of the rules and regulations that we have. This company that sort of dominated the 90s and really was one of the top 5 companies to work for. I can remember the crazy commercials. If you have some time, go to YouTube and look up the commercials. Are really wild, even by our standards. But they were sort of the gleaming example of what to be. And then they collapsed very quickly. They declared bankruptcy right after 9/11, about a month after 9/11. And so I think we sort of lost it in some ways. And I remember being sort of fascinated by it as a person who didn't know a ton about finance, about sort of what happened and how it all went away. And I can't remember when this play exactly crossed my radar. It was in London and New York about 15 years ago. But I read it and was just sort of fascinated by it. I saw part of it at a school and was like, it really needs to have adult actors. But it really just feels like a parable for sort of modern times. And, it's really the story of the rise and fall of a great company and the man who sort of drove them there. I've been describing it to people as a cross between Succession and Richard III and Henry V, that it has these like really great modern elements in these people who you're not sure if you like or don't like, but the charisma of a Richard III, the heightened language of a Shakespeare, and then the sort of choral aspects of Henry V, this wonderful ensemble cast who's sort of coming, doing direct address, talking right to the audience. There's a lot of surprise and creativity and whimsy in some animals that we sort of see. There's a lot of surprises that sort of pop up in it. But you're really following the story of Jeffrey Skilling, who is the actual person who sort of led the rise and fall of Enron, and some actual characters, some composite characters like what Christine is playing, and it's just really a compelling, wild story that is mostly based in facts. This actually happened, and it's sort of amazing how hubris led us there, and a parable as to like how these things sort of happen again if we're not aware of it. So it's really entertaining. You're not coming to a lecture. You're coming to a show that's really gonna hopefully entertain you.
Right, and that sounds like Quantum, a big production, right? A lot of actors, a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. There's a dance component with Attack, correct? Yeah. Which I'm really, really excited about. And I was trying to explain the genre of this play. And I'm like, I don't think I can, because it's all the things you said, but it's also, there's like almost like an Ionesco, like throw just a dash of Ionesco in there. And it's like, oh, I have no idea how you really qualify this. But it'll be really, really cool to see how all of those pieces come together, and how the choreographers and the dancers and then, like you said, the ensemble is going to be just killer. It's going to be killer.
Incredible
So
cast.
good.
Yeah.
Really good cast.
All people based in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about Quantum too, what's really great is when you go see a Quantum show, because it's never in a theater. It's always on a place that sort of hopefully marries with the show. And so we're doing it in One Oxford Center downtown. One Oxford Center. If you're a person who grew up here, you remember like in the 80s and 90s, like it was a very happening place. This mixture of like retail and commerce, and so we have a whole floor of the building on the 6th floor that we're really sort of utilizing the whole floor. So, the actors will be, having their dressing spaces there too, but, you'll come into the floor, there'll be a very swanky lounge set up, feel like, Texas in the 90s, and then you'll sort of like go into the space and sort of, see the show there. So, we're very much, Sasha Schwartz, who's our set designer, we've been talking very intentionally about, how to marry that space to the set, to, the story. I'm putting those elements all together. And I think that's, when you have a really great experience at a Quantum show, it's sort of marrying all those things together. They did Seagull this summer on the campus of Chatham.
Yeah.
And, you sort of walked in and you saw the pond and they talk about the lake and Seagull, and it's just magical. You feel really transported. You're like, oh, I'm in Russia. I'm 2 hours away from Moscow. So you can only do that when you're really at the place.
That's right.
So it's a really exciting experience, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, I love Seagull. There are actors in the woods, and you hear people calling from the castle in the distance,
Yes.
and like the moon's like transiting
Running
beyond
in
the
the hills
pond.
behind,
yeah,
yeah.
you just you're immersed, and you're just along for the ride, and it's really exciting. So One Oxford, yeah, sounds like a perfect venue for this kind of story. Free parking.
Free parking.
Pretty good.
In a parking garage. You don't
In
have
a
to go
parking
outside.
garage.
You drive into the garage. You walk across the little walkway.
Yeah.
You're not going to get wet.
That's right.
No rain. Yeah, it's going to be
Little sky bridge action.
super easy.
That's
I will
nice.
say I think I'm one of the only actors. My only experience with Quantum as an actor has been the indoor shows. I feel very, very fortunate. Like climate controlled.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a running joke in Pittsburgh, as a Quantum actor. Like the first question you ask is, what's the bathroom situation? So because there's a public bathroom situation, but then as the actor, when you're backstage, like what are my bathrooms like? You've got to know. I've been pretty lucky. The 2 shows I've acted in Quantum that I've had pretty good bathrooms.
Yeah.
You've got a great bathroom situation,
Right.
I would say, comparably. So
I'm thrilled.
That's wonderful. It's also a collaboration with Attack Theater.
Correct.
Tell us about that. That's wonderful.
Attack Theater has a dance theater, really exciting work. Peter Cope and Michelle De La Reza, I was just with them earlier today. So 4 of the dancers from Attack are part of the cast. And so, we'll be doing some dynamic physical work as well. And so it's not sort of traditional, like, modern contemporary dance that you're going to see, but it's going to be really integrated along with the rest of the cast. So, there's sort of dynamic physicality called for in the script. At one point, it talks about, Enron was famously involved in the deregulation of the energy trading system in California, which led to brownouts, led to deaths. And so there's a sequence where you see people trading energy, and it talks about it looking like great fun. If you've ever watched the documentary The Smartest Guys in the Room, which talks about Enron, you can hear the traders and sort of their detachment about what's happening. They're having a great time as they're making all this money. So it actually, Lucy Preble, the playwright, talks about, the fun of trading energy. So Attack is going to be really crucial, not only in that moment, but all the way through. We're going to weave it through the play and make it really seamless in that sense. So it's just really exciting to see sort of dynamic physical work and marrying it that way. I think, we're hoping for, I think what Christine was saying about like not being able to describe it, I think we're hoping for that experience so that an audience comes in and it's like, the show, I don't know what to say about it, except that you should go see it and experience it for yourself. I think that's sort of the goal. So we're hoping that we can get a lot of people to come downtown and check it out.
Very good. So when is the run? What dates are we bringing to people's attention?
We open October 30th. And are running for about 3 weeks. And I think we're Tuesday through Sunday. That sounds right. So 7:30s. Yeah, there's some matinees on the weekends. So you can go to Quantum's website, quantum.com and quantumtheater.com and check it out. So I hope people do. But it's going to be great. This cast is fire.
Wild.
So yeah, it's really, really talented folks. So I'm very excited. Can't believe we got everybody that we got. So yeah,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Terrific. So opening night, October 30th, Oxford 1, downtown, free parking.
Yes.
Come see the latest
Yes.
Quantum Theater experience.
Yeah. Quantum's got a lot of special events too, talkbacks with the cast, different opportunities to sort of meet with groups. So some really exciting ideas behind it. So yeah, I hope people will come and check it out.
Wonderful. Yeah. So check your schedule, get it on there, find a time to get involved and come see Enron, right? Come see it. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being here, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having us.